Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to take you through how you can build an application on YellowAnt with Python. A little background about YellowAnt. YellowAnt is a workplace assistant chatbot that we built for Slack, Microsoft Teams, Cisco Spark, Facebook Workplace. And what YellowAnt basically does is it connects with every application that you use in the workplace, like your email, your calendar, your cloud storage, code repositories, CI/CD, incident management, task management, anything and everything that you use in the workplace. It connects with all these applications and lets you command them from Slack, gets you real-time work updates from all these apps, lets you take quick actions on all these updates, and allows you to do a lot of automation and workflows. So we can just start by sort of showing you how YellowAnt works, and then maybe we can sort of go through the how to build an application on YellowAnt. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to create a YellowAnt account. So if you're already registered on Slack, if you have a Slack account, you can just simply go to yellowant.com. Right. You can just click on the sign up with Slack button. And authorize your Slack account. And then automatically YellowAnt creates your YellowAnt team account with your individual account as well. And once YellowAnt creates your account, it will show you a whole bunch of applications that you can start integrating. So you can, if you just click on View All, these are like the bunch of applications that you can integrate. So for example, I have already integrated my email or my calendar, my Freshdesk, so on and so forth. So once all my applications are integrated, YellowAnt will sort of keep sending me notifications from all these applications. So this is a Jira notification of an issue that was assigned to me. Similarly, I get notifications from my emails if I want to, sort of take an action on the email. These notifications come with some quick nifty action buttons. So I can maybe start the email or mark it as read, or if I click on reply, I can even reply on this email. Let's maybe check out a few commands for an application. So I have already integrated an application on my YellowAnt account, that is Freshdesk, which is a CRM application. So once you integrate an application, the way you command it is you can just sort of say help, and then it lists all the applications that you have integrated with YellowAnt. So in this case, if let's say I want to sort of shoot a command on my Freshdesk account, just click on Freshdesk, and maybe I can, if I want to fetch a particular ticket, I just said run this command, and it asks for a ticket ID. So if I just enter the ticket ID, YellowAnt automatically goes into my Freshdesk account and fetches the ticket number 16. Right now the status is open, priority is high. I can maybe change the status to pending, and maybe change the priority to urgent. I can maybe also reply to this ticket from Slack, or if I have any notes, I can add notes. So this is basically how YellowAnt works. Every application in YellowAnt is divided, or rather composed of a few functions, or what we call as commands. And if any user wants to execute the command, all that they have to do is click on run this command, and YellowAnt will sort of show a Slack dialog wherein you can add your inputs, and you can just simply click on execute, and it executes the command. So this is basically how YellowAnt works. We also have, apart from commands, every application also have what we call as webhooks or notifications. Uh, so let's say if a new Jira ticket is assigned to me, YellowAnt will send me that notification within my team Slack, which would look something like this. So since Jira is already connected to my YellowAnt, it'll keep sending me notifications of issues that are assigned to me, and once I get that notification, I can sort of take some actions right here. So we're going to start by sort of just going through the basics of YellowAnt. As we mentioned, that every application in YellowAnt is composed of a bunch of functions or commands and webhooks or notifications. So every application on YellowAnt has an invoke name. The way it works, an invoke name is basically just like your Linux, where every application has like an invoke name. So in the case of Google Mail, we have an invoke name that is Gmail. So since my Gmail is already connected to YellowAnt, let's go back to the dashboard. So this is my Gmail integration. I have one Gmail integration, and the invoke name for my first Gmail integration is Gmail. So if I just sort of invoke Gmail from my team Slack, it replies with the available commands for Gmail. Similarly, since I've already integrated PagerDuty, the invoke name for PagerDuty is simply PagerDuty. So if I click on the available commands, maybe say get an incident. Yep. Now, if I want to see the list of applications that I've integrated with YellowAnt, all I have to do is just say help, and these are the applications that are integrated. So Asana has an invoke name of Asana, calendar, so on and so forth. So most applications have a very intuitive invoke name. So what we're going to do today is we're going to create our own application, and we're going to give it sort of like, we're going to come up with an invoke name for that application. So every application on YellowAnt has an invoke name. It is comprised of a set of commands. Every command may or may not have inputs or arguments for that command. So in the case of a PagerDuty, right, the command get underscore incident, or that's get an incident, has basically one input, that is the ID of the incident. So when I click on run this command, it asks for the incident number. So a command may or may not have arguments, and every argument can be of a different type. Some arguments are numbers, some arguments are strings. And if a command has multiple arguments, some of them may or may not be required to execute that command. Some of them may be compulsory for executing that command. Now, when you execute a command, every command returns a YellowAnt message. Each message comprises of a few attachments, a few buttons, which we'll cover in a while. And the command can also sort of send additional data that we'll use in something we call as workflows that I'll explain later in this demo. So how will users use your application? So for example, if let's say you created the Gmail application, how will users use it? So you create the application, and then the application is sort of for your team or for the general YellowAnt users, depending on the visibility of the application. The users in your team or outside your team can spot the application in the YellowAnt marketplace. So for example, let's say I want to integrate a Gmail account with YellowAnt. The way users integrate or use the applications that you build on YellowAnt is they just go to the marketplace, search for the application, and all that they have to do is click on integrate. and then it will take you to your application page where you can take them through the authorization process. So when I click on add an account, the first thing that it's going to do is it's going to authenticate my YellowAnt account. So I'm going to integrate my Gmail account. So yeah, we basically integrated two Gmail accounts. Happens to be the same email account. Uh, and whenever an integration takes place, YellowAnt assigns a unique invoke name for that application. So since I've already integrated my first Gmail account, that account's invoke name is Gmail, whereas the new Gmail account's invoke name is Gmail 2. So when I click on Gmail, or rather when I invoke Gmail 2, it will list me the commands associated with that Gmail account. Right. So YellowAnt basically sort of authenticates your account, the user's account against your application, and once the authentication takes place, it goes through an OAuth 2 process, and you obtain the user's YellowAnt token, and then you create a YellowAnt user integration. So the user will first, authenticate your application with his or her YellowAnt account, and then it will be redirected to your application, which will sort of receive an OAuth code that you will exchange for a permanent user token that you can store in one of your databases. Once you receive the user token, you will create a new user integration, and then the user will basically get the message saying that a new integration has been added. And finally, that application will also show in the user's overview of application. So since I've integrated two Gmail accounts, when the user goes to his or her dashboard, the user will be able to sort of see the Gmail accounts that are integrated with YellowAnt. So in this case, since I've integrated two Gmail accounts, I have Gmail and Gmail 2, and it sort of lists the notifications uh, for that integration, which I can enable or disable from this page. So as we just saw, when you integrate an application, it creates an invoke name. So if I go ahead and integrate a third Gmail account, my invoke name, the new invoke name for that Gmail account would be, as you predicted, it will be Gmail 3. Now, once my new integration is alive and kicking, I can just sort of call that integration with the invoke name, and then I can just start, issuing commands and receiving notifications from YellowAnt. So let's go ahead and start with a little bit of code. So we're going to build a new YellowAnt application in Python and Django. So to create a new application, all that you have to do is go to the dashboard, and you can click on the /developers link that's right here. Right. So I just click on create a new app. So we're going to build an application, we're going to build an application that allows every user in your organization to access a database of customers, the employees in the organization, a few information about car models and the sales of that car. So apparently it's a car dealership database of sort that we'll be able to query from Slack through our YellowAnt application. So going back to our developers console, just clicked on create a new application. So I can maybe just say sales data is my invoke name. Maybe just add a short description to my application. Just click on create a new app. So every application has, you'll be assigned a client ID, a client secret, and a verification token. So we'll be using this in our application. Going back, so this is the database schema that we'll be querying. So we basically have a company with employees and offices. They have a few products and a few customers, and each customer sort of places an order, and the orders have a few order details and some payment information. So the first step that we're going to do is we're going to define the application like we just did. Then we're going to define a few commands, and every command has the inputs or the arguments that we'll define in a while. So these are the commands that we're going to add to our application. That is, we'll enable our users to get product details, get customer details, get details about an employee, get details about the order, to create an order or delete an order. So I can just go back to my developers and just click on add a function. Maybe we can just start with a simple one. We can just say get customer. So the display name is customer. The invoke name for that function is get. So I just filled in a few details, the short and long description. So every YellowAnt function has what we call a function type. So a function type can be a command, a webhook, or an invoke. So a command is what you see in the help section. So whenever the user invokes your application, and YellowAnt lists all these commands, so to show the user the commands for YellowAnt, you can just go ahead and select command. Whereas in the case of notifications, we'll create webhook, and invoke is in case is a special kind of a command that we don't really show in the help section, but invoke functions are used in our buttons right here. So I'm going to cover that in a while. So we're going to create a command. In this case, what we're going to do, this is, since it's going to be a GET request to our application, we'll just choose request type as GET. Now this command will also return some data along with it, which we'll use in our workflows. I'll just add a dummy documentation URL. So the way our function will be called is and we're just going to go ahead and save this. Oh, actually, it's called save data. Yeah. So I'm just going to save this newly created command called get customer. Now it's time to define an argument. So this function will only take one argument, that is the ID of the customer. So I'm just going to define this argument. The ID is going to be of type, I think just declare it as varchar, and this argument is required for this command, and we can just have an integer value as an example. So finally we have, we have created our first command, that's get underscore customer, with one input, that is the ID of the customer. Now let's go back to our application details. If we click on edit application, you can just sort of fill in the description. Now we have something called an API URL. So what the API URL is, it's a URL that YellowAnt sends all the user command data to. So it sends a post request to the API URL. So whatever command that I type here, or whatever command that I invoke in YellowAnt Slack. So what YellowAnt does is it packages this command into a JSON, the command function, the the input arguments and its values, along with the user data, will be passed on to the API URL. So I think I'm just gonna. Right. So our API URL is going to be and for our OAuth, we're going to have a redirect URL that we'll define. Yeah. So the application for now is not rate limited. I'm just going to say this is it's active and it's in production, and I'm going to make it this application will be visible to my team, so anybody in my team can go ahead and integrate this application. So once this application is done, all that I have to do is now just store the client ID secret and the verification token that we use in our Django application. So going back to our Django application, I just open PyCharm. So this is our sample application. So I've already defined the models for all the customer data. We have added it to added MySQL as the default database for our Django application. And I've already gone ahead and I've created two applications within Django, that's records and YellowAnt commands. So records views, records models holds the business logic and all the data about the customers and the employees and the sales data. Whereas YellowAnt commands is the application that we'll be using to handle all YellowAnt commands. So let's go ahead and create our authentication flow. So, right. So this is the application authentication flow. The first thing is that the user is going to visit the application page, and then you're going to redirect, your application is going to redirect to the YellowAnt authentication URL, where the user will grant access to the application, and then it'll redirect the user to your redirect URL along with the authentication code, which you will exchange with the YellowAnt API for a long-lived access token, and you're going to store that in your database as well. Then finally, once you receive the user token, you're going to create the user integration, which the user will use for commanding his or her application. So let's start by sort of creating a view that is to get to redirect the YellowAnt user to the authentication page. So just going to call it redirect to authentication page. Yeah. So this is simply going to return a. It's just going to redirect the user to YellowAnt.com. So let's just actually keep the API page, the YellowAnt API page, open. So YellowAnt.com/API. One thing that you have to do before you create your Python application is just go ahead and create a virtual environment. In this case, I already created a virtual environment called sample, and you will require to pip install YellowAnt. So go ahead and do that. You need it to authenticate the user. Yeah. So right. So we have pip installed YellowAnt to our virtual environment, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and refer to the API documentation right here. Right. So to redirect the users, you need to redirect the user to this URL and pass these as get parameters. You're gonna get the client ID. The redirect URL is going to be similar to what we had set. That is our ngrok redirect URL right here. Another thing that we are going to implement is once the user authenticates YellowAnt, we are going to store the user token alongside the user details and exchange the OAuth code with the long-lived access token. So this is going to be the YellowAnt redirect URL. Before that, there is one thing that we have to add. We need to create a new model where we can say user token. And we're going to store the few other YellowAnt details. We're going to store the user's YellowAnt ID. And the YellowAnt integration ID. Right. So go ahead and migrate these. So now that the migrations are over, what I'm going to do is once the redirect URL comes in, I'm just going to say we'll basically fetch the code. Let's request get. Right. Now this is where we're going to bring in YellowAnt. The YellowAnt Python library. So let's go to our API documentation. Right. But before that, let's store a few things in the settings file. So the YellowAnt client ID is what we get from our developer page. That is right here. So we're going to store the client ID. We're going to store secret. And we're going to store the verification token. So the verification token is what we'll be using to verify all command requests from YellowAnt. To make sure that all requests are coming from YellowAnt, we basically send along with the command details and the user details and the command inputs, we also send the verification token to your API URL. So at the API URL, we're going to check this verification token. Right. So we are right here. Let's go back to our API documentation. And to get the user, all that we have to do is all of this. Right. So let's go back and in the settings file add the YellowAnt redirect URL, which we have set as yeah. This is where the user will be redirected to after the user has authenticated your application. And I think we are good to go. Now finally, once this access token comes in, I'm going to store it in the user model. So we're just going to say dot object dot create. we're also going to call the get user profile command. Basically, the get user profile function will get the user's basic profile details like email, user ID, YellowAnt user ID, first name, last name, so on and so forth. So we're going to get the YellowAnt user ID from the profile. That is profile and ID. And before that, we're also going to create a YellowAnt user integration. So go ahead and copy paste this. So this now that we have an access token from our newly created integration, I'm going to reinitialize this the YellowAnt user, the YellowAnt object. I'm going to create a new user integration, and then I'm going to get the user profile. So we have a new user integration, and we have the YellowAnt user details as well. So I'm just going to say YellowAnt integration ID is right. So that's about it. I think just going to respond with user authenticated. Now let's get this up and running. So let's go to the console, and so I'm going to run this Python, this Django application locally, and I'm exposing this application through ngrok at port 8000. So once the application, yep, it's up and running. Now I just need to go to localhost. I've already logged in as a super admin. So we are already logged in, right? Now it's time to sort of go to the URLs and declare the redirect URL and the YellowAnt redirect URL. So we have two views. So this URL will basically take us to the YellowAnt authorization URL. Record.use, right? And the other one is the URL that we have already declared in the YellowAnt application. That is our developer page. That is right here. So, right. So I think it's recompiled again. Let's just take it for a spin. Apologize. Records. Okay, cool. So let's go to the YellowAnt auth URL. So now it's going to ask me to authorize this application. And once I click on authorize, it's going to, YellowAnt is going to sort of take the user to the redirect URL with the authorization code. Now, maybe you'd like to see the code. I'll just insert a few print statements so that you can sort of inspect it in the console. Right. So I'm just going to click on authorize, and hopefully um, it should take us to this page, the YellowAnt redirect URL. Let's just double check the client ID. Yep, looks good. Okay, YellowAnt client is not defined. Okay, this is where we went wrong. Just go back. Right, so maybe I'll just refresh because the code hasn't expired yet. Right, so let's start over again. Let's take the user to the redirect URL. Right, so redirect URL. Click on authorize, and hopefully this should work. Okay, the user is not authenticated. Okay, so use ngrok. You have to use login through ngrok. Right, okay, for the last time, let's try again. Okay, so authorize the application and uh, let's see what just happened here. It's not able to find the access token. Number 33. Okay, it's actually YellowAnt underscore tokens. God damn it. Yep, this was the mistake again. Just delete the integration that we created, then try again. again, we're authorizing the application, and yep, the user is finally authenticated. So what just happened here? The user was redirected to the authentication page, and the user then authenticates the YellowAnt application, and then it is sent to the redirect URL with the code which you um, exchanged with a long-lived access token. And then finally you created a user integration. So when I go back to my Slack, it'll tell me that I have just added a new integration called sales data. So finally when I run sales data, it should show me the one command that is available for sales data, get a customer. So when I click on get this command, it'll ask for the ID. Now, when I add the ID of the customer and then I click on execute, it will send it to the API URL, which we have not executed yet. But nevertheless, yep. So it has just sent the request to the API URL, but was not found. So let's go ahead and implement the API URL for this application. Right. So here's where the verification token comes into the picture. So just to sort of show you what, yeah. So your API URL, once the user sends a command to your application, we send this JSON to your application with the verification token, the application, the user integration ID, the ID of the user, the name of the function that is being called. We have an event type that is command, that is a user issuing a command. There are plenty of other event types, and the arguments for the command, that is all the arguments that you've defined for the command in the developer console, all the applications, all the arguments that the user has added will be shown right here, will be part of the JSON. So let's go ahead and implement the API URL. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to fetch the data from the request. So yeah, so it comes as a JSON string, and we're just going to load the JSON, convert it into an object, and these are the arguments from the data. This is the application ID. So the user can have multiple user integrations of the same application. So this is how we are able to distinguish between which user integration the user is commanding from. Just to go back into the database that we just created. So we had created a module called user token where we are storing all the user details. So in this case, this is the token, this is the YellowAnt ID, and this is the YellowAnt, the unique integration ID of the user. And this user underscore ID is the local user underscore ID in my Django application. So I know that this is for user number 1, and this is his YellowAnt ID. So finally, I mean, when the data hits your API URL, I mean, this is pretty much the data that you'll be checking the request against. So you'll be checking for the YellowAnt integration ID and the YellowAnt ID, and then you'll know which user is basically commanding the application. So in the API URL, we got the service application, we got the arguments, we got the data. We're going to check the verification token. That is also part of our data, right? And we're going to check if the verification token is valid. So in settings, we had defined the verification token right here. So if the verification token that that is being sent to your API URL matches the verification token that you had in your developer console, that's right here, then it's a valid response. It's a valid request from the YellowAnt servers. So this is where we execute the command, or else we return with the status that is not verified, right? So right. Now what we're going to do is to handle our commands, we're going to create what we call a command center. So the command center is, to put it simply, it is a Python class that handles that passes the command, and then depending on the function, it sort of executes that command in that function. So let's just go ahead and go to YellowAnt commands and then just create a new class called a new file called command center.py. Right? So we're going to do import YellowAnt. We're going to import JSON, and we're going to import some stuff on the fly. So we have a new class. We're going to create a new class called the command center. Let's initialize this with the YellowAnt user ID, YellowAnt integration ID. We also are passing the function name along with the JSON. So depending on this function, we're going to execute something. Right? Function name, and we have the arguments. So let's go ahead and quickly initialize this. Right. Let's just call another function called defParse. So the parse function will basically just look at the function name and then call the function, as simple as that, along with the argument. So let's just define the commands that are available. So the first command that we have implemented, going back to the developer console, was the get customer. Right? So we're going to say get customer. And these are the arguments for the customer. So is from the argument. So basically what's happening here is that we're passing the function name in the command center, and then the function name basically calls the function along with the arguments that we pass during the initialization phase. So in the get customer function, we're just gonna, since we already have the ID, let's just go ahead and fetch the customer. So uh, once you take the arguments, the input values that are passed by the user, you process the command, and now it's time to sort of create the message to be sent to the user. So YellowAnt has what we call various formatting classes. So at the parent level, you have the message class where you set the message text. Now going back to Slack, um, just shoot a command right here. So in this case, this is the first line is my message text. Similarly, right here, this is the message text. This is the message. So right on the top is the main message of the message is the message underscore text value. Apart from that, you can also add a few attachments, and each attachment has like a few other sort of attributes. That is the message text, the attachment text. You can add some images, some colors, some hyperlinks, and you can also add fields and buttons to the message text, the message attachment. So in the case of the attachment, this is your attachment title, which also has a URL. This is the attachment text right here. And what you see right here are the attachment fields. So there are basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields. And there's another attachment with 3 buttons. So you can add fields and buttons to a particular attachment. So let's go ahead and do that. So in our command center, in this case, what we're going to do is we're just going to return a simple message with a message text and details about the customer in message attachment fields. So, all right, let's start with the message. I'm just going to say message class. And say here are the customer details. So this message will only have one attachment, that is customer. That is message attachments class. Right. So I'm just going to say customer attachment dot title is the name of the customer. So going back to the model, we have the customer name right here. So I'm just going to say customer name. Awesome. Now it's time to get a few fields. Go to the model. Maybe I can get the customer's phone number, city, state, and credit limit. That's it. So just have field underscore phone is equal to. So the field property is attachment fields class. So the title is the phone number, and the value of the field is the phone number itself. So customer dot. Similarly, we're going to have the city and the credit limit. So we have the field underscore city. Customer dot city and state, and then finally Now finally, now since I've already created these fields, now it's time to add the field to the attachment and then add the attachment to the message, right? Um, so what we're going to do is let's say customer.attachment.attach field, that is field underscore phone. Similarly, we have field underscore city and field underscore CS as the current limit. And also, we're going to add the attachment to the message. So m.attach customer attachment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to return the message as a JSON. So you have to make sure that you send m.toJSON to the API URL. So finally, we have the API URL, and what I'm going to do is we're going to say command center is equal to command center, and that takes a few. So YellowAnt user ID, YellowAnt integration ID function args. So we have the YellowAnt user ID. That's right here. That's the data of user. And we have data of YellowAnt integration ID. In this case, it's called the application. So I'm just going to say data of application. This is the unique user integration ID. Apart from that, we have the function name, right? So we're passing the function name right here, and then finally the arguments. That is data args. Right. And then finally, I'm just going to say return HTTP response dc dot parse. So let's try this out. Let's go to our database once and see, look for maybe a customer to query. So let's try for customer number 103. I think it's already compiled. So let's see what happens here. Let's go back to Slack and just going to say sales data. I'm just going to say run this command, and I'm going to pass customer number 3 right here. URLs. Keep forgetting that. So our views has, it's called API URL. Just double check in our developer platform what our API URL is. Yep. So our API URL is, yep, /API. So we're good. We defined that. Let's just try the command again. Okay. 403, which means an invalid verification token has been sent. Let's just see what the data is. Print the data. Verification token is equal to settings of verification token. Just double check the verification token in our developer platform. Okay. This will sort of take a few tries. Let's see what's happening here. So I'm going to execute this command. Okay. We're supposed to make it CSR exempt because it's coming from an external server. That's why it's getting the 403 error. So let's try this command again. Okay, so something happened. We get 500 errors somewhere. We have a function. We have our function. Let's get customer. Check what the error is here. Okay, customer subject has no attribute phone number. How could that be? Okay. Just go to command center. We just small error. Yeah, I think it should be good now. Credit limit. Yeah. So let's go back and again call sales data. Click on reply. And then run this command. 1, 3. Null value from database. So let's try again. Another one. What? Okay, awesome. So this is we just got it. So we were able to run this command and we were able to query uh, the customer with customer number is 103. Yay! Let's try another customer, maybe 119, that is La Rochelle Gifts. So 109. Oh, it's 119. Yep. So this is how, now YellowAnt is able to sort of start processing commands and sending messages and some details in message fields. Let's try another command, maybe some more details about the customer. So we have another model that gets the employee. So let's implement another function. Let's implement get employee. Yeah? So go to developers, and say add function, get an employee. This takes an ID and it's again a command. Request type is get. So enter the get request and we have a JSON. Let's quickly add documentation URL. So the help text would be get employee ID 2, something of that sort. This is how users can sort of use the command line for that. So we have just created get employee, and all that we have to do is define the input arguments for this command. That's it will only take one input argument, that is the ID. So ID of the employee, it's where char argument is required, something like this. Yep, so we're good with get employee. Just go to a command center and implement, just take the same data, and do get employee, right? Again, it takes the same argument, that's ID, and what we will do is employee is an employee number. So just going to search for the employee um, in the database, in the model. So we have the employee first name and last name. So first name and last name. Maybe we can add another couple of fields, that is email and job title. Does he have a phone number? Okay, so extension. We have the extension. We have the designation or the job title. That's it. So what we're going to do is, again, just like before, we're So we just create another function called getEmployee, and let's just sort of look for a few employees. Yep. So we have employee number 1002, that is Diane Murphy. Let's see if that works. Function called getEmployee. So just go back into our database, and so we have employee number 1002, that is Diane Murphy. So let's try 1002 and see if Diane shows up. Awesome. Yep, this is it. So we have Diane Murphy, and yeah, so we were just able to sort of create two very simple functions, uh, simple commands that can sort of get some data from our database. Let's sort of deep dive a little bit more. Um, every employee is responsible for a few orders, right? So let's see. We have employees, and each employee has an office. And every employee has a few customers assigned to it, right, to the employees. So what we can do is so what we're going to do is we are for every customer we have a sales rep employee number that is right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a button to our get customer command, and we're going to point it to the get employee function. So basically what's going to happen is whenever we say get customer, let's say the customer ID was 103. So apart from just the fields, we're going to add a button that says get whomsoever is responsible for this customer, get the employee that is responsible for managing this customer's account. So it's extremely simple. All that we have to do is sort of create a message attachment button, and then just point it to the get employee function. So it's really easy. So we're going to say button underscore employee is equal to go back, and we have something called the message buttons class. So we're going to create a message button. So we set the name and value as something as very arbitrary values. Um, the important part is text. So we have text as employee, and then now here's the magic. We're going to encode a command inside this button. So let's go back to our API documentation and go straight to our attachment button. So basically, the way to encode a particular encode a button, a command inside a button is we just sort of put in a few things inside that button. That is, one is a service application, that is which YellowAnt. It's basically going to be the user integration ID that we get with our in the API URL as a post request. So that is our YellowAnt integration ID that we catch. So that becomes our service application. Uh, we also have something called function underscore name. So I'm just going to sort of construct this. So let's call it as service application that's equal to our YellowAnt integration ID. The same function name is equal to get employee, that is right here. So this function should be the same as what we define in our developer console, that is get employee. Right here. So just copy this and paste it right here. And then we're going to pass it some data to this function. So basically what we're saying is whenever the user clicks on this button, it's going to call this function with this account and with a few data. So just going to say data. And then since this get employee takes just one function, that is the ID, we're going to get this employee ID from the object that is a customer object. Dot, go back to the model, and then we have sales rep employee number right here. So that's it. Now all that I have to do is add this button to the attachment. So I'm just going to say customer attach button employee, and that is it. Hopefully this is compiled. Now if I go back and again search for 1002, that is Diane Murphy, we get a button that shows the employee that is assigned to Diane. So just say 1002. Yep. Oh, okay. 1000. Oh, sorry. The customer is 103. There is no 172. So let's see. We have Australian Collectors Company, that is customer number 114. Let's see who is assigned, which employee is assigned to this account. What has happened? Employee's object is not JSON serializable. Ah, my bad. So what has happened is the foreign assumed that this is a so sales rep employee number dot employee number right here. Yep, this should solve it. So we are compiled again. Let's see. Let's look for again for 114. Yep. So we just got it. So basically, customer number 114 is Australian Collectors Company. We got the customer details. Now, if let's say I want to get the employee that is assigned to this company, all that I have to do is just click on this button, and then it will give me the. So it's Andy Fixter that is assigned to Australian Collectors Company. Isn't this awesome? This is so cool. Now let's see what else can we do. Now let's say if let's say I want to assign a particular customer to maybe another employee, right? So in that case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another function. I'm going to create another command that says assign to assign customer. So I'll just say assign customer to employee, and the invoke name is just going to be assign customer. So it takes ID of the customer and ID of the employee. So this is going to be a command, and it's going to be a post request. It's going to be, there'll be some data coming in. Okay, so I'm going to add two arguments now, that is customer ID, the ID of the customer, this is required, and another ID that is the employee ID. So I'm going to say assign underscore customer. So let's define that right here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is first I'm going to search if customer underscore ID are not in the args. I'm just going to say, I'll just construct a simple message and saying that you need to add these arguments. Else, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to first see if the customer exists. So right, then I'm going to see if the employee exists. In each case, I'm just going to say args of customer ID, and then args of employee ID. All right. So if I just found both of them, what I'm going to do is customer dot I'm going to assign the customer to somebody else. So that's the sales rep employee number is equal to employee. And then I'm just going to return a message saying rather than just say customer assigned to right. Okay, so we have assigned customer. That is done. Now let's go back to sales data. Let's see. So we had Australian Collectors Company assigned to Andy Fixter, right? So instead of that, let's assign Australian Collectors Company to, I don't know. Let's assign it to Diane Murphy. Seems like an upcoming employee. So I'm just gonna say the Australian Collectors Company was, if I'm not mistaken, it's 114, and Diane is 1002. So I'm going to say run this command. Right, our customer ID is 114, and our employee ID is 112. So I'm just going to click on execute. Let's hope this works. Send customer ID and employee ID. Try again. Customer ID is 114. Employee ID is 112. Let's see what's happening here. Okay. Awesome. So we just assigned the Australian Collectors Company to Diane Murphy. Now, if I go back to get customer, and if I do that is Australian Collectors Company, yep. And if I get the employee that's assigned, it should say Diane Murphy, and yep, we have Diane Murphy. That's the president. Awesome. So this is it. I mean, another thing that we can do is we can add inputs. So if let's say in the get cust, if I want to sort of get the customer and then assign to somebody else, what I can do is I can create a button in the get customer, and I can assign it to somebody else. So I'm just going to create a new button. So I'm going to call it employee, change the employee that is assigned to this customer. And so we have yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the assign customer function in this button. So in the data, we have the customer ID, that is the customer dot customer number. And the only thing that is required now is the ID of the employee. So we define something called inputs, right? So in the inputs, I'm going to ask for employee ID. Makes sense? So now we see two buttons. One is get the employee that's assigned, and the other one is change employee that is assigned, right? So let's see if this works. Let's see if this compiles, compile. So we have compiled, and let's try again. Saves data, call the function, customer, who's this? 114, collectors company. Oh, something just happened. The employee. Oh, okay, there's a syntax error right here. I apologize. My bad. Let's do it again. Okay, so get customer, again 114. Okay. Ah, we forgot to add it to the attachment. So I'm just going to say customer attachment, attach button, button employee. Yep. So we forgot to do this. Let's try it again. Okay, awesome. So we just got that we just fired the get customer function, and now we can see two buttons. One is get the employee that is assigned to this customer. So we just changed it to Diane. So we have Diane Murphy. Now if let's say I want to change it from Diane Murphy to Mary, or rather William Patterson, yeah? So that's 1088. So when I click on change employee, it should just ask for the employee ID. So I'm just going to say 1088. And then done. So we have just assigned this account to William Patterson. So again, if I click on get employee, it should say William Patterson right here. Just a sec. Did I save it? So let's try get customer again. So we have William Patterson that is newly assigned to the Australian Collectors Company. So this is how you can do uh, create an application on YellowAnt. So we covered a few things. We covered how to process a command. We covered how to create basic messages with fields and buttons and message inputs as well. One final thing that we can cover, that we have to cover, is adding data to the response. So YellowAnt has what we call workflows. So what you can do is you can send some data along with your command, so that every YellowAnt user can sort of use it in what we call command workflows. So to create a workflow, let's just go back and add some data. So the data that you have to add is you have to add the data to the message in JSON format. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add data to the get customer command. So I'm just going to say maybe I'll just add phone. Customer dot I'll add the employee that's assigned to this customer. So that is the and maybe the name of the employee. That is sorry, name of the customer. Customer name. So I'm sending this data in JSON. That's a phone number, employee, assigned, and name of the customer, along with this data. Now, when I go back to my developer console, I have to define this output key, define the output keys for this command. So I just go to edit output keys, and I'll simply just sort of dump this JSON. You can just sort of come up with sample schema, and then when you click on convert to schema, it converts it to the YellowAnt schema, and then you can just click on save. So once it is saved, every user in YellowAnt can sort of now use it in workflows. So what I can do is I can build a workflow with our sales application, our sales data application, along with something else. So let's say if I want to send an email send an email about customer data to one of my colleagues. So I'm just going to sort of create a custom command right here. Add it in my workflow. So I just say sales to mail, and all it does is it takes the ID of the customer and then mail. So what we can do is we can just go to sales data. We can say get the customer, do ID, and then go to mail and send the mail. So since we are taking the ID and email as input, right. So again, workflow, customer to mail, takes the ID of the customer and the email to send the data to. First step is it goes to sales data, it gets the customer based on the ID that we input, and then it goes to email and sends a mail to this email address. Oh shoot, we actually equal assign customer, my bad. Supposed to put in get customer. So we just add the same schema to the get customer function, and again we just refresh this page so that the schema is reflected in our workflow. sales data, get the customer based on the customer ID, and then go to Gmail, send the mail, right? So I'm going to send it to the email address that I specified the command. In the message, I'm just going to say, this is the employee, the phone number, and the name. So I'm just going to send this mail, and maybe also get the assigned, the employee that is assigned to the customer as a message. So this is customer email, so just click on save. So I'm just going to invoke my custom command from Slack. Yep. So what I'm going to do is I am going to add the customer ID that is 114. Send it to myself. Yep. So that email was sent, and then it just fetched the details of the customer. So this is how you can do workflows with data. So since I'm sending this data along with this command, I'm able to sort of create a workflow with it. So that data is basically it comes in as data that I can use for other commands and other applications right here. So employee phone and name is what I send along with my command right here. Now, in this part, I'm going to show you how you can send a simple message from your application to the user through YellowAnt, and we'll also sort of take you through how to send a message through a webhook function. So if you remember earlier, we had discussed there are three types of functions, that is the command, the invoke, and the webhook. So the command functions are what we see when we do help for your application, and the invoke functions are those functions that we don't really show in the application help section, but we use the invoke function to codify a command in a message button. So we're going to add a third function. We're going to go with the same example of our customer data. And what we're going to do through this webhook message is notify a YellowAnt user whenever a new customer is added to the database. So I'm just going to add a function that is new customer notification, and call it new customer. Since it's a webhook, it's not a command, so there won't be any arguments here. And the function type that we're going to choose is webhook. And this would be a get function, and the return type would be JSON, since we'll be sending some data with this webhook message. So that data will be used in our command workflow if the user wants to sort of create an automation with this webhook notification. Right, and I'm just going to save this new webhook function. So the new webhook function is called new customer. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my code, and I'm basically going to push a webhook message whenever a new customer is added. So what I'm going to do is we can just create a function that says add new customer, and maybe we can just have the name of the customer, the employee that is assigned to this customer, and maybe details about the city and the state, right? So once the new customer is added, we can just go back to our API page we're going to send a webhook message with some attachments. That's right here. And yeah, so let's, to send a message through a webhook, we will finally need the user token that we stored in our models. So whenever a new customer is added, first let's just go ahead and add the customer. We have the customer table. So we're going to say customer is equal to and for that we just get the employee. And the customer, we are going to add the sales rep as the employee. Yep. So we have just created a customer object. Now it's time to sort of send a notification to all users that are, or rather maybe even a few users to whom this notification is relevant. So what I'm going to do is I am going to send this notification to everybody, all the users. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the users, right? And I'm going to sort of loop through it. And now let's just go back to our API documentation page and create a message object to send to the user. So just say new user added. We'll just keep it simple. The name. Right. Right. Maybe I can just add an optional button that can allow the user to sort of get details of the employee for this notification, whomsoever is assigned to this customer. So for that, first we have to create an attachment. going to repeat what I did earlier. That is, just going to set the name and value as blank. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to encode a command for that. Yeah. So going back to our command center, we have a get employee function right here. So I'm just going to sort of copy this, basically the same command that I had used for my previous get customer function. Right? Yeah. So the service application is what we had already stored in the model. So finally, we're gonna get the YellowAnt integration ID, which is the service integration. That will be the value of the service integration. So user.YellowAnt integration ID. The function name is getEmployee, and the ID is the employee.employee number. Right? So now finally we have to send this message to the YellowAnt user. I'm just going to attach it, attach before that to attach the button. So I'm just going to say attachment.attach button, and then finally message.attach. Right? So this is what I had copied from the API page. We have to initialize the YellowAnt user integration object. So the access token is what we stored in the model as YellowAnt tokens. So I'm just gonna say user.YellowAnt token. User is what we are looping through in the query from our query set, right? And our requested applications again the user YellowAnt integration ID. So our requested application is the user YellowAnt integration ID, and the webhook name finally the webhook that we had created as new customer. So the webhook name will be equal to new customer, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the rest of the arguments like this. So the message object that I had created right here, while passing through the create webhook message, this is how you basically pass the rest of the arguments right here. So since the message object, the message class already contains all the parameters for this endpoint, we're just going to reference to this object and basically pass it as a dictionary. And finally, there's one last thing that we have to add to the message, that is some data. So I'm just going to add the customer data. Maybe I'll just sort of pass the ID of the customer. Let's say customer dot, I think it's called customer number. Yep. So call it customer number, the name of the customer. City, and the employee that is assigned to this new customer. So employee dot employee number. So this is the data that also goes along with the webhooks that we will use in our event workflow. And then finally, once I have looped through it and I've sent the notification, return whether HTTP response holds. Yeah. So let's try this webhook notification. Django application, and we say run it as a shell command, because that's how we designed the add customer webhook, just to sort of create that notification from our shell. So just going to say add new customer, and yep. So let's give our new customer a name. John Doe, the employee that is assigned to John Doe. Maybe, let's see, we can maybe assign Diane Murphy. That's 1002. City, New York. Yep. Let's hope this works. Okay, so there's quite a few columns that we have to sort of address. Go back and add a random customer number. Yep. Okay. Right, so let's try this again. I have keep Slack open. So we're adding a new customer right now. Yep. So we just added a new user, and just like clockwork, I just got a notification. So the button here is missing for some reason. Let's go and check it out. Let's see why this is not happening. Okay. So this is why we are just reading. was missing was, I think I made a mistake here that we have to set name and value to non-empty values. So I just gave them some default values. That's one. They're irrelevant for the application actually. So what just happened is now a new user was added named John Doe, and it was assigned to Diane Murphy. And if I, let's say, if I want to get details about Diane Murphy, I have added a button called Get Employee Details. And if I click on this button, it's going to invoke the get underscore employee function. And wow, okay. Huh. Why did this not work? Oh, shoot. Yep. So I need to run the server for this because our application was currently offline. Now again, going back to the to this message, when I click on get employee, I should get the a hit on my API URL. Yep. And hopefully this should have answered. Yep. So finally we were able to get our the details of the employee that is assigned to this new customer account. So this is how you send a webhook message. You may or may not send data. You can also sort of send some simple data, not necessarily bound to a function. Now, whenever you send a webhook data, let me just maybe spin up a new tab right here. Much better. All right. So so what you can do is now that you created a webhook function, I can also use this webhook function in my event workflows. So let's just go to dashboard and create like an event workflow. Oh, and before that, since we had added some data to the to this webhook endpoint, we have to define that in our function output keys. So let's just go to our function output keys and generate the schema for the output keys. So, yep, so we got the schema and we're just going to save the schema. Fantastic. So let's go back to workflows. Now what I'm going to do is whenever there is a new customer that is added to the system, I maybe want to send a message to another Slack channel with the details of the customer. So let's try and do that. So it's going to be an event workflow, and it's going to be so there is a glitch. I'm just going to stop the video here. Right, so let's use our newly created webhook function and create a event workflow with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an event workflow that basically on addition of any new customer, maybe sends that customer data to a Slack channel. So I'm going to say create an event workflow. I'm just going to select sales data and the new customer notification function that we had just built. That's the new customer endpoint. You'll be able to see that in the workflow. So I'm just going to select new customer notification. And yeah, so I'm going to send it to a Slack channel. So let's just go to Slack and choose one of our channels. Maybe I can create a new channel called demo. And I can invite YellowAnt to it. You need to invite YellowAnt to any channel where you need to send the notification through YellowAnt. So fine, we have customers underscore demo channel created. Let's go to workflows. And I'm going to create a message that says new customer added. Put the name of the customer and the city of the customer. So these are the four data sort of values that we are sending through our webhook function. We had also defined that in our function output keys, if you remember, right? So finally, I'm just going to sort of click on save. And let's see, again, let's create a new customer on our application. And yeah, let's see if that sends a message to our Slack channel. Maybe play around with some other values this time. Oh, instead of saying Django, let's try Django, and maybe this time let's assign it to 1056. Let's see my participants. Yep. Let's give it random customer ID. So I'm just creating a new customer right now, and it'll send YellowAnt a message. So finally, what you just saw is you got a new notification on YellowAnt. That is a new user has been added. That's Jane Doe. I can fetch the employee that is assigned to Jane Doe. That is Mary Patterson. Yep, right here. And also, we through our event workflow, we also sent a message to the channel called customers demo. So right here, that's new customer added, Jane Doe from New York. And basically, this is how you can do event workflows with your web functions. I think that's just about covers the entire YellowAnt application tutorial. I hope this was useful for you, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you so much for your time.